As time has passed, you've probably heard stories of someone who found an old hard drive in a drawer somewhere that had Bitcoin or Ethereum on it, and how they became a millionaire overnight. And while that might be a great story, it's also important that we acknowledge and understand the many, many stories from those who have lost everything in cryptocurrency overnight. Ever since the Bitcoin boom of around 2017, cryptocurrency has been something that's caught my eye. To watch a coin go from being the zeitgeist one day to where zero the next was nothing short of crazy. But that's why it's also important that you understand the risks and possible negative outcomes that come with investing in cryptocurrency. Some of these being scams such as pump and dumps or rug pulls, to negative environmental impacts from things such as crypto mining. And while that might sound bad, we're also going to talk about a possible solution being regulation. But first, we're going to talk about some of the negatives. First being pump and dumps. Pump and dump scams are basically where a group of influencers will buy in early on a coin and then attempt to sell it to their fans. And once their fans begin investing, the price will begin to skyrocket. And once it reaches a certain point, this group of influencers will then sell off their holdings, leaving their fans holding the bag. An example of this was written about by Claire Duffy in an article published by CNN in 2021. She writes about how the McAfee antivirus founder John McAfee and his business partners were part of a pump and dump scam, where John McAfee would tweet about these cryptocurrencies to his fans to get them to invest, where him and his business partners would then sell it all. And it was reported that they made up to $13 million from these scams. The next scam up are rug pulls. Rug pulls are basically when the founders of these coins or NFTs pull all the money out that the investors had given them. So as you can see, once it reaches a certain point, it basically drops to zero. And that's because the founders ripped all the liquidity out of their coin. An example of this was written about by Isabella Lee in 2022 for Business Insider. She writes about how on January 9th, 2022, a new NFT project called Frosties were going to launch. And with this launch, there were only 8,888 tokens available. And once those tokens had sold, the founders basically deleted their Twitter, deleted their YouTube, and any semblance that they had ever existed, and took the money and run, leaving their fans with an NFT that is almost worthless. And so now we're going to talk about the environmental impacts that cryptocurrency mining has on our environment. In a report published by MDPI, written by Sergio Alonso and colleagues in 2021, it states that the Bitcoin blockchain verification requires large electricity, which leaves a large carbon footprint. And so this is basically what your average crypto farm would look like. You have computers mining Bitcoin, using electricity, and exhausting heat. And this graph shows electricity used annually in cryptocurrency mining in terawatts. And to put that into perspective, 1 terawatt is equivalent to 1 trillion kilowatts. And as you can see, in 2020, this line has us at over 200 million terawatts of electricity used per year in mining. Another important part of mining is the energy efficiency. So as you can see, Canada, the United States, and a large portion of Western Europe are using sustainable energy for their crypto mining. And that's great. However, many places, like large parts of Africa, some parts of South America and Asia, aren't using sustainable electricity, and that's an issue. Because places like China are using the largest amounts of electricity because they're doing the most mining. So if they aren't doing sustainable mining and they're doing the most of it, a place like Canada that does barely any compared to China, their sustainable energy used is nothing compared to what China's doing with unsustainable energy, which is why it's important that we fight for sustainable energy use. And now that we understand these issues and why they're important, it's now that we will try to find a solution. And my solution for this would be regulation. Regulation is something that's already began in some countries, for things like crypto mining, such as in Iran, where it was reported in an article written in 2019 by Jordan Amman, published by Syndicate, that licensed miners must submit info such as their equipment value and the duration that they will be mining. And while I think this is a great step, I still think there is more that should be added to this, such as environmental regulations, something that they can prove that they will not be using unsustainable energy, or at least to a certain point. And another thing that's happening in Iran right now, in a 2021 article written by Amman and published by Syndicate, it's reported that Iran has already shut down 1,620 unlicensed crypto mines. And this is great because you don't know what type of energy an unlicensed mine would be using, because they're obviously not licensed for a reason. And now to conclude, now that I've informed you about the possible scams and negative outcomes that come from cryptocurrency, and it may seem bad and like there's not really much being done, it's important to know that you can contact your local government or just tell anyone you know, start a petition, anything to just get the word out that cryptocurrency needs regulation and that with us, anything is possible. Thank you.